O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
And Karen, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do.
And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life. I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Why'd you admit to it?
She didn't admit to it. She didn't admit to anything close to that. Nothing close to that. And you should know that.
That was like 3 or 4 times she admitted to it.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
She asked a question.
It makes absolutely no sense. That is the Commonwealth grasping at straws. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck.
We have the 8 letters. We've seen them. We've read them. We are using them. The genie cannot be put back in the bottle.
Yeah, LTL true crime. We going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned, we dive into the prime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL true crime, unveiling dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. Never get thought of your thought. I don't look at the books. I see I took care I go. We don't get live in the shine, but then I'm not talking about it, ain't that so? Look at the kids in your world. No intuition lie. No intuition low. We thought of it, never get thought of your thought. I don't look at the books. I break down true crime, do them with dark realities every time. This is I break down true crime, do them with dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi.
Good Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome back to LTL True Crime. We are here live on March 3rd, 2024, and we have a very special guest this evening, someone that has been very prominent in the Canton community and during the select board meetings, and recently just decided in the last couple of months to weeks here for running for select board. And I want to bring that special guest in. Her name is Rita Lombardi, and welcome to the show, Rita. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing, Brian?
I'm well. Are you excited?
I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited. People are out holding signs today. And I went out with them for a little bit, and then I had work to do on the campaign, but it was exciting to see them out there holding my signs. They're just the best people. And, you know, some are from Canton and some are not. And that is what I love about this movement. Everybody is for the good of the country and good of Canton. And it's a beautiful thing. So
Yeah,
it
it
was
is.
very exciting. I wish I could have stayed out longer because they know how much I love to stay out with them. And, but I had fun in the short time I was with them. I had fun.
That's great. I just want to let everybody know tonight. So I do have Rita's campaign link where you can donate to her select board run. It's pinned to the top of the chat. So if you want to make a donation throughout the through this broadcast, you can. It will be pinned to the chat, top of the chat. You have a lot of supporters in here, which is great. And this is what I want. You have a lot of people from all over, which is amazing right now. So anyway, let's get into your select board run. So I'm just going to do the first basic question I think that everybody is asking why, and maybe everybody already knows that answer to, but what made you decide to run for select board?
Okay, first I just want to say thank
Sure.
you to everyone who has donated so far. I have, seen the list. I really appreciate everybody's generosity. People are just so incredibly kind. It blows my mind. And this is going to be an epic campaign, and everybody is going to be welcome to participate in it. So we're all going to celebrate our right to vote and freedom of speech. So back to your question, what made me decide to run? Randy Scollins made me decide to run. So Randy Scollins is the finance director, and really, really what happened, I mean, the special town meeting that we had last fall, everyone knows the work that went into pulling that off. That was a monumental task, brainstorm of brilliant Kathleen Howley. And when the police chief and the board of select would not meet with us as citizens, the only way to get audience with them was to initiate a special town meeting, and which blew them away because they had no idea what we were doing. We did it all through social media to get people to sign signatures, to get enough signatures to have a special town meeting. So enormous effort went into that. And people came from out of town. We had 2,000 people show up at that special town meeting. Normally 300 show up at the annual town meeting, and we had 2,000 show up, and 100 came from out of town. That was a monumental effort, and we all worked hard to achieve the end result. And the end result was to get the vote of the independent audit approved. And that in itself, so getting people to the special town meeting was a challenge in and of itself. But at the special town meeting, the proponents of the independent audit were bullied by the opponents. We were bullied, we were heckled in a public forum, and people were intimidated not to vote their truth. So for the 903 that raised their hand in support of the vote, and they had to do it multiple times because the select board rejected the vote, even though it was the will of the people. And, so enormous effort went into planning it, enormous effort went into attending it, 5.5 hours on the Monday before Thanksgiving. People carved out of their nights to come into the special town meeting. And then we were victorious, which we were thrilled that 903 courageous people voted for the special audit. And so, the wording in the warrant, it went through multiple iterations, and ultimately the town's attorney had language in there that gave the director of finance the ability to have a position in the five-person committee, which is not what we wanted, but it's what we got. And so they had that, and so the committee was supposed to get going February 1. That's what, you had 60 days, get people together, get your designee and whatever. And Kathleen and I reached out to Randy in December and November and January to trying to get a status update. If we didn't reach out, he probably wouldn't have done anything, hoping we'd go away. And then he never called back. He would just maybe email back. And everybody knows what disrespect he shows me and in general, which is, why Foxborough got rid of him. But, we have nothing else going on here, so we might as well take another liability. Let's just take Randy Scollins and add him to our liability list. But whatever. Don't get me going there. But anyways, so Randy appointed Bob McCarthy. Well, Bob McCarthy was the loudest and vocalist opponent of the audit. He said he wouldn't risk his procurement license on it. He said that, if people voted for it, they were pandering to the vocal minority. 903 people voted for it. That's not a minority. And 300 go to the annual town meeting and vote a, $147 million budget. This is $200,000. And so he appointed him. And when I found out that he appointed him, I called, and he would never talk to me. I'd talk to his, secretary. And I said, listen, please don't put Bob McCarthy. I'll do it. I have decades of this experience. I'll do it. Please, I'll work with Randy on this. Of course, Randy's scared of me. And, that's just who he is. He likes to take advantage of women who are, who don't have the confidence level that I do. And so anyways, we tried to work with Randy, finance committee. The finance committee had a meeting in which, because there were issues, he was inserting language into the article, the motion. The language wasn't in the motion. It's kind of like, geez, we didn't win, so let's change the interpretation so that we can win with new interpretation. I mean, that just sounds too familiar to me, and that's just, homie, don't play that one. And so he says, so we're at the finance committee on a Wednesday night, we're listening. It was a Zoom call. And he was just being Randy. And I was so disgusted, and I felt bullied by him. I felt like he was bullying us. He got the chair, and this guy can't self-nominate himself as the chair, Bob McCarthy, but he has. And so the whole thing was authoritarian to me, and it was bullying, and it was a complete lack of respect for everyone who worked hard on that initiative. To have it ripped out from underneath us was unacceptable to me. And right after that meeting, I said, that's it, I'm running. And people had been trying to get me to run for 6 months. And in my heart, I knew I had the expertise to turn this ship around. I knew I did. But I was struggling with family life balance issues. And my dad's 90, my aunt's going to be 95. I mean, let's face it, my time with them is limited. Right. And I know that, and so that was important to me to be able to spend time with them. But when Randy did what he did, and I know I say this, I'm throwing back to In Living Color. If people want an awesome Black comedy, hysterical, In Living Color, but homie, don't play that. And so, I don't play those games. Don't mess with me. And, I said, that's it. I'm running. And I went down to the town clerk the very next day with Kathleen. People were all excited that I finally agreed to run. I had 2 days left to pull papers, and we pulled papers, and we pulled papers. We left there at 10:30. We were back by 5 minutes of 5, and we weren't even collecting signatures that whole time. We said, okay, in 1 hour, we'll be at Starbucks. And the line didn't stop. People kept coming in. And then we went to the town hall, to the post office, and, we were going to be there for an hour, and we already had almost triple what we needed. And so we went back to the town hall at 5 minutes of 5, and we turned in the papers. I go, this is the kind of results I deliver. Same day results. There you go. And so, it was exciting. And I'm thrilled to be running. It's what I wanted. In my heart, this job, this select board position has my name all over it. I've done this my entire career. So this, to me, is not a big deal.
So, we've noticed, obviously, you've been at a lot of the select board meetings, and what really got you involved in that? Is it because of the Free Karen Read movement and what's going on, what's happened with Karen? Or is this something that you've kind of always kind of poked into, and this really pushed you to go a little bit more? And then also, let me just ask you another kind of follow-up to that. Did you use this? We've obviously seen you on the mic a lot at the select board meetings, which was fantastic. I mean, you do a lot of challenging of the finances, a lot of challenging of the zoning and what's going on in Canton. And I think they need that. And I say this I think you've kind of, watching these select board meetings has really got me more interested in what's going on in my local community as well
Yes.
too. And I always say this to people, Rita. I said, everybody really focuses on the national election, but you need to look at who's running your
Yes.
community because you live there. The president is gonna always change. It seems like we don't have 8-year presidents anymore, hardly, since what, 2015? I could be wrong on that, but it seems like every 4 years the president's gonna change. Believe me, that's the global politics. Don't figure out who's actually running your communities. So I'm sorry, let me just go back really quick. With you stepping up to the mic and doing this challenging, what has it been in the back of your mind as you've kind of dipped into all of this unorganization and financial, dropouts, and has this kind of primed you to say, you know what, I think I might have to step in here and get some real leadership in here?
Yeah, I mean, so the whole thing got started with Karen Reed. That's how listen, I'm 63 years old, right? I'm a mom, I'm a working professional, I'm in my semi-retirement years, so I thought, and I like everybody else, I am not a politician. I'm a businesswoman, and everybody has their career. And in this situation, I was listening. At first it was the Karen Reed situation. And when I heard about everything that went on, and I want to make it clear, and Aiden said it the other night, he's reading the case filings. He's not interpreting, he's reading the case.
Yeah, it's black and white. Yeah, black and white.
Black and white.
Right.
And so, I'm reading this and I'm horrified. I'm horrified because I had a rosy glass image of the Canton Police Department. I've been here 45 years. I never had a problem. I have relatives that have been on the force. My ancestry goes back 118 years. And, I had a relatively high impression of the Canton Police Department because I've never really had any interactions. And because my family worked there, I thought they must be great. Right.
Yeah, right.
And what happened? And so so after listening to Turtle Boy in the summertime, and I think my first meeting was the end of July. And I was going to go to the meeting with my fiance, and the police chief was going to be there. And then we weren't going to go. And then it was blacked out. They had a blackout for like 15 minutes. And apparently it turns out that it was a legitimate blackout, but I said, yeah, no, there's a blackout here. I'm going, I'm going to the meeting. And so I went to the meeting.
Yeah.
And I found it very interesting. That was my first select board meeting.
Wow.
And from there, I started to hear all about Chris Albert and his issues with not paying taxes. And the fact that they wouldn't listen to us just kept us coming back, until we could get answers. And, of course we didn't get answers, but all along, I built a career being a turnaround agent. I mean, that's what I've been a turnaround agent. I go into business areas, service business areas, and I turn them around. And, through automation and I reduce costs and I increase revenues. And, I go into business areas that I know nothing about, and I deliver record results. That's just what I built a career on. So all along, it was killing me not to consider running for select board. And people tried. And every time I said, no, I can't, I really wanted to. Because when you do something for a living, or when you're passionate about something and an opportunity presents itself, the passion, you got the passion, and you got the struggle. So, I say, Randy, thank you very much. I appreciate the fact that he, pushed me too far, and what he did was unacceptable. And I'm thrilled to pieces that I am running for office. We have tremendous support, and my hope is to not just bring out the voters that come out. I want them all. I want them all. I want people, anyone watching this show, if you know anyone that lives in Canton, please reach out to them and please encourage them to vote in the April 2nd election. March 23rd is early voting, so they can do that. I encourage them to do that at the post office because I do have concerns with the Canton. I mean, not the post office, at the town hall. I do have concerns about the Canton post
Yeah.
office.
Go to vote in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just have concerns about the Canton post office right now. And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. So that was it. So vote in person, however
Yeah.
you do it.
So I was going to say this too, and I'm glad that you touched on this because I find this a lot in my local community after I see elections from mayor and select board and stuff. Everybody gets on their communal page and they just complain. And then I find out like you didn't go out and vote.
Exactly.
You can't complain. You got to go out and vote. That gives you the power in my mind to complain afterwards if your candidate doesn't win. And I urge people more in their local community, please, like Rita said, go out and vote. If you want things to change in your community, if you're watching from Canton, Massachusetts tonight, and you want things to change in your community, and you're sick of the over and over again, the same people year after year after year after year, support Rita. You can go back and watch how she's been challenging the issues at these select board meetings and challenging the issues that are going on in Canton. Rita wants to make pure change in that community. So Rita, I got a question to ask you just to kind of follow up with that point.
Sure.
What specific experience or skills would you bring to the select board that you believe that would make a significant difference in addressing the needs in the Canton community?
Collaboration. I mean, they're not collaborating, not with us. I have spent 30 years in leadership, and I listen to people. I align with people, and I acknowledge their concerns, and I just you've got to listen. You've got to listen to your people, and you've got to respond. What's happening right now, or they're not doing anything, and they're just letting things happen. And I'm a prudent businesswoman, and I'm going to look at how things are being spent, and make sure that we're doing what's right for the town. Citizens don't want to pay to provide services for friends of the select board at the taxpayer's expense. People like Chris Albert on the select board is already costing us money because he has a history, decades long, of not paying taxes. Well, that has a ripple effect in operations, in mailings to try to collect it, in sending people to the courts to collect the money when, Chris Albert doesn't show up. So it's not only Chris Albert not paying his taxes, or saying that he paid them by December 31st of 2023 when, oh, that's right, he didn't, but that behavior costs money and it all adds up, just like the silly thing that they're doing with Karen Reed. Who do you think's funding prosecution? That's us, taxpayers. That's our money out the window. Every time they fly Alan Jackson in for a 15-minute, court hearing, that's our money. And, Karen, Karen's got that, expense as well, but the taxpayers are paying that. And that is not right. We do not want to pay our money on cases that are, not winnable. I mean, this case is not winnable.
Yeah. And then that's the thing though, too, when you talked about not paying taxes. I mean, if you got to look around the room and they go, well, he's doing it, why should I do it? Right. And it encourages bad behavior and it's bad leadership.
Absolutely. And then they don't even address it. And then he purges himself, although it looks like he purges himself, because at 12/31, he said he paid his taxes. And then it didn't show up until 3 weeks later.
Right.
And, I mean, maybe he did pay him by 12/31, but you know what? He waited a very long time to pay those taxes. And all the operational expenses that were incurred, it's not just him not paying his taxes and then that ripple effect. It's the impact on the infrastructure. And we're paying for that too. And we're paying for lawyers. We're paying for people to go and show up at court, and Chris Albert doesn't even show up.
Yeah,
those are all expenses that we need to stop.
Exactly. So Rita, if you win a select board and you get into the position, what steps would you take to ensure the transparency and accountability in your role?
I'm going to be fully transparent. I'm going to look at, what the select board is looking at. I'm going to look at what's going on in town, and I'm going to make sure that we communicate fully with the voters. I mean, the select board works for the voters. The select board, that's their job. And so my job as a select board member is to work for the voters in Canton, the residents in Canton. And that is what I intend to do. And I intend to deliver the results that I know I've delivered my entire life.
What would be some of the things that you would tackle when you first get in? Like, just name maybe 3 off the top of your head.
What I would tackle, I mean, first of all, this 3-minute billboard timer is a joke. It's a joke. You might as well put headphones on when we speak, because they're not listening to us. And so the first thing I would do is listen to the people. So if I have the ability to change that 3 minutes or do whatever, I'm going to do it. And if I don't have the ability to do that, then I will find a way to talk to the citizens and hear their issues and address their issues. I don't have to do it in that forum. I'd like to do it in that forum. I'd like it to be welcoming, and people, I mean, ideally, we address issues, and therefore there'd be minimal people showing up. But you know what? And like you said, we need people involved. I was never involved. I thought it ran by itself. I saw familiar names and, oh, maybe I'll vote for that person.
Sure.
Not even knowing about
Right.
that person. And I think what we have seen with the Canton Select Board is when citizens and voters don't pay attention to the issues, and they either don't vote or they vote uneducated, like I have on some of these things, right? I'm admitting it, not anymore. And, then this is what we get. We get people who don't belong in office making decisions for us based on friendships that they have with the select few. That's not right.
Yeah. And like I said, it just becomes, more of, it's that comfortability with people. Like you said, it's a lot of, and that's the thing people don't understand. And you're seeing it a lot in the Karen Reed case. A lot of this stuff is all that secret handshake stuff. I mean, look at just how many people are connected in that house, in Albert's house that night. How many people? Think about that. That's just one house.
Yeah.
This is a full community of people. And this is
Right.
all handshake stuff. And that's how these people get in.
Yep.
And we get someone in there that can go in. And I always say it, the Wizard of Oz effect, when they say, don't look at the man behind the curtain. Well, Rita wants to go in and start pulling that curtain back. So they can start
Absolutely.
exposing and seeing what's going on and getting to the truth and getting it out there transparent. Because a lot of this shit, excuse my language, a lot of this shit goes down and they just sneak things through.
They sneak it through. And that's what by asking, like when I'm asking questions, I have no idea what I'm uncovering. I'm asking a question because I'm looking for an answer.
Right.
Like when I asked about the $7,000 survey, I just wondered why a survey cost $7,000.
Yeah.
And I had no idea the can of worms that was going to open. But I'm glad that it did, because, and what happens is as one person speaks, another person finds their voice. And that's what's so beautiful. And all these people that come together in this movement is about truth and justice and rejecting gaslighting.
Yeah.
That's what this movement is all about. And, that's what we're all about. We have to reject the gaslighting. And, what they're saying, is gaslighting. We see the facts in front of us. We know what happened.
Yeah, it's funny that you said about the $7,000. I've been really invested in the Brockton High School scandal that's been going on. I've been watching a lot of the school committee meetings and reporting on that. I mean, it's an absolute ridiculous travesty of leadership over there right now. And we were just watching the other night, and they were talking about buying these lock pockets for the students to put their cell phones in, right? Because they don't want the students playing with their cell. And they're like, oh, it's only going to cost like $40,000 to do that because there's 4,000 students. I'm like, how do you spend $40,000 on just do this?
Right.
You don't bring your cell phone to school. And if you're
Right.
caught, you get it brought to the office. And at the end of the day, you can go pick it up and stand in line with 100 other people. And I guarantee at the end of the day, when a student's going to have to stand in that line and wait
Right.
15, 20 minutes to get their phone, you know what they're probably not going to do after a couple times, Rita?
Bring
Not
that
bring
phone.
their cell phone to school.
Right.
Again, I understand it's probably not the perfect solution because there's a lot of stuff that goes on in our society now with wackos and emergencies and all that. But I'm just trying to make a simple point. So let me ask you this. Why do people like Rita Lombardi get involved and want to run for their select board now? Why are people like you fighting back?
Because we have to. It's not an option. Sitting on the sidelines is not an option anymore. Because if we don't stand up for truth and justice, the people that gaslight are going to keep gaslighting, and and they're going to get into power. And we cannot have that. We cannot have look at George Santos. I heard that town went, tried to get all the information out and local media didn't cover it. Local media is not covering what's going on here either. I urge people to get involved, to pay attention to what's going on in their town. This has been an eye opener for me. And this is about this, in my opinion, is a call to action. We need to raise our voices. We have seen the injustice in the Karen Reed case. And then we saw how it spilled over and everything that came out on the select board by their inaction, the deliberate inaction on everything and shutting us down. And it's opened up a can of worms. It's opened my eyes to things I didn't really think were happening. And, I come from the business world and I have spent my career, building teams, exceptional service organizations, turning them around. The last 10 years of my professional career, I worked with every single state office in the United States on regulatory compliance. So I'm well versed. They think I don't know about the municipal. Oh, yes, I do. I have 10 years experience working with municipal employees. And I have a front row seat. I've had a front row seat in seeing how antiquated their processing is. And so I'm well versed in the state regulations. Not all of them, but I'm well versed in reading state regulations. Put a reg in front of me and I can read it, so people need to get involved, because if we don't get involved, we're going to be left with people who have no business being in control and are making decisions based on what they want to do. And as we've seen with Canton, is they'll change the interpretation of the reg or the motion. They'll twist it. Somebody like Randy Scollins will say, oh, I didn't insert words. Oh, yes, you did. We have your letter and we have the motion. Oh, yes, you did, Pinocchio. So they're doing this. So it's not even like, well, they're supposed to do this. This is what we voted on. No, they change the interpretation of the regulation so that they can get the outcome they're looking for. And that's not American.
Yeah, I agree. So what I want to do here is just direct everybody to the top of the link. There's a link that's pinned up there to the top. And if you could, and you wanted to, we would appreciate it. But I just want to show you, let me just bring Rita's website up here and I'm going to drop the link. So Rita's donation website, just so you make sure that it is the correct website that you go to, is this one here. I'm going to bring that up. This is Rita Lombardi for Canton Select Board, and you can make the donations through.
It's donorbox.org/elect-Rita-Lombardi.
Yep, I just dropped that link in the chat. So if you'd like to go and support Rita, we would love you to do that for Canton Select Board. And like I said, I have the link that's posted to the top. You can do a one-time donation, or if you want to support through her, what is it, about 5-week campaign?
Yeah, it's 4-week.
Okay, 4-week campaign. Okay.
Yeah.
You can
And we're planning on kicking off, I think, Sunday. We're just finalizing the location.
Okay.
We have signs. So anybody who needs a sign, send an email to volunteer@randomcitizen.org. And we'll get you signs. We blew out of the first 50 signs that we had.
Wow.
Yeah, blew out of them. And we have more coming in on Wednesday. And we are going to paint this town red, white, and blue with my signs.
That's awesome. This is actually a perfect segue too. So what can the citizens of Canton do to help your campaign, and what can non-citizens do to help? Obviously donate,
Right.
spread the word, and I'll let you kind of finish up on that point.
Yeah, that's really what it is. Spread the word. Keep talking.
Mhm.
You know, if you can donate, great. If you can hold signs, great. If you want a yard sign, awesome. You know, get out there and join us. It's a lot of fun. And really what I want everyone to do is celebrate
Mhm.
freedom of speech, celebrate your right to vote. You know, get informed and celebrate your right to vote and put in office the person that you want to put in. And I can't say it enough. Like today, they were holding signs at the town hall, and I had pens. You know, I got pens. So if you come hold signs, you get pens, and vote for Rita pens. And so you know, as people were stopping at the red light, I'm holding up the pens so they roll down the windows. You know, because I'm not going to go over and just crash, because
Right.
you know, then the other people will say she's crashing them. You know, but I hold up the pens, they roll down the window, and I go over and I go, "Here's 2 pens, one to keep and one to give. You
Yeah,
give this to
that's
somebody
great.
else who's got to vote."
I like that idea.
Yeah, and
Right.
so we want the vote out, whether it's the early vote at the town hall. Not the post office.
Right. Go to the town
But
hall.
you know, that's just my experience. They failed me last November, and they need to explain it.
Mhm.
Because I never got the warrant in the mail, and a lot of people never got the warrant in the mail. So that I lost trust. And I'm very happy that Marty Walsh is now the governor of the United States Postal Service. I might even give Marty a little ringy dingy. I'll throw myself back on that one too. A little Lily Tomlin in there. So, but anyways, yeah. So vote, and so that's what people can do. And people who don't live in Canton, get on the phone, text everybody, anyone you know that lives in Canton, that has people that live in Canton. Please reach out to them and tell them to vote for Rita and Trish. The 2 of us, we are a team. We're going in as a team. We're both business women. We know what we're doing, and we know how to make a difference and save taxpayers money. So, and then, you know, everyone is welcome to help us hold signs, and everyone is welcome to come and celebrate with us, because it is a celebration. It is a celebration. And I thank everyone that was out there today. I did not expect them to be out today, because I didn't realize we really didn't have a lot of signs to get out. But that's going to change. That's going to change.
That's awesome. So I just wanted to kind of ask you this, and then do you mind taking maybe a few questions?
Of
I want
course.
to make sure that everybody just understands when we take questions, I just want to make sure that they're Canton specific. I know a lot of people in here are going to probably ask questions about Karen Reed, and yes, you know, I get that, but I want to make this more geared towards Rita's campaign. So if we have any Canton residents in here, please, you know, cast out your question. I'll pull some questions up for her, and we'll go from there. So real quick, I think you just touched on it at the beginning, but if you could just give us a quick touch, and I know everybody's probably asking this, and you've probably talked about 1,000 times. How did you get involved in the Free Karen Reed movement? I mean, you are one of the prominent figures that are always out there. You're always loud and proud. You get interviewed all the time. And when I stand back and look at you, I think you're an amazing leader, and you get, you know, S done. You know, I see she gets S done. It talks.
That's what I do.
So how did you get involved in this growing, fantastic movement that's literally worldwide now, Rita?
Yeah, it is worldwide. I love it. I love it. It's just, the energy is so positive. It's just, I love it. So so John O'Keefe was killed in my neighborhood. It's my neighborhood, you know, and when he first was killed, you know, they said it was an accident. And so I thought it was an accident. I said, okay, they said it's an accident, unfortunate accident. I didn't know anyone. And, you know, I chalked it up as an accident. And I didn't hear anything for like a year. And then last April, my daughter reached out to me
Mm.
and she asked me, Mom, have you heard? And I said, I haven't really, and my daughter's like, Mom, she was framed.
Mm.
And so, and this was last April. So I'm not sure where my daughter got it. Maybe she got it from Turtle Boy. I'm not sure, but she got it, she heard it. And I said, I don't have enough information to form an opinion. I simply don't know. It sounded like defense strategy to me, but I don't know. I don't have any information on it. And then about a month later, I was at a funeral and a friend of mine who lives in the neighborhood, I was talking to her. And so, I said to her, hey, what's going on? As mom's talk, I go, hey, what's going on?
Right. Yeah.
I'm hearing all this stuff. What's going on? And so she's like, Rita, I think it's true. I really think she was framed. And she says, listen to Turtle Boy. And I go, Turtle Boy. I go, she goes,
Turtle Boy. Okay.
I'm going to listen to somebody by the name of Turtle Boy who's going to tell me how Karen Reed was framed for murder. And she goes, yeah. And so, and so she warned me, sometimes he might be harsh or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And so my fiance, because it was my neighborhood, I said, I need to hear, and plus, inquiring minds want to know, So my fiance and I started listening to Aiden. And at first, that was my first introduction to YouTube, independent media.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
And so, but I had to block out what was noise, not noise, but I had to block out because I was like focused. I go, listen to what he's saying.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind. And that is how I couldn't stop. We were addicted. And then I'm doing the whiteboard like everybody else. I go, oh my God, how do you keep all this straight? And it went from there. And then I started going to the select board meetings because Chris Albert was elected and there were implications there. And I never did I dream that I would still be going to select board meetings today. Never did I dream that I would be running for select board. Never, ever in my wildest dreams did I think that it would get this far. I never did. But, the facts are the facts. And no one can dispute the information that's on, in the case filings. So that's how I got involved. And, Aiden's a phenomenal investigative reporter. He really is. And what they've done to him is wrong. Absolutely wrong. And that's another reason people need to get involved because Karen Reed, Aiden Carney, that could be you.
Yeah, it's the
That
biggest.
could be you.
And people that might be watching this for the first time and discovering what the Karen Reed or Aiden Carney cases are, it's literally the biggest railroading that we've ever seen, I would say, in probably more modern society. I mean, at least maybe in Massachusetts. I mean, I don't know, but across the nation, it's got to be one of the
across the
biggest
nation,
railroadings that I've ever seen in my entire life.
I don't think we as a country have ever seen this. And what we have today, what we didn't have many years ago, is geofencing. So people can say anything they want. They can sprinkle taillight until the cows come
Cocktail
home.
glasses, pieces everywhere, and all that.
They can do all of that. The geofencing does not lie.
No.
And that is, that's where the evidence is. And we've never seen anything like this. And this begs the question, how many people are in jail that don't belong in jail? And I feel we need to get them out.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's after, Karen is taking care of how many people have had the same thing happen to them and they didn't have the benefit of the fundraising that has been done for Karen. And they had to cop a plea to something they never did. And, we need to fix it. And that's one thing that I think I bring in the business world. We have checks and balances and there's controls. And so people can't go rogue on processing because it's going to get caught. But in our government, people can go rogue because there's no checks and balances.
Mhm.
And that's what needs to be put into the system are checks and balances. And I'm hoping, that the police audit helps us
Mhm.
to get to a point where we can put checks and balances so that people can't do things that they're tempted to do that are going to get them in trouble. And you can't do this in the business world, but you can do it in the government. And the government runs the country. And we
Mhm.
don't, in my opinion, we need to treat our government offices like a business.
Yeah.
We're running a business. This is a state. This is a business of running a state.
Right.
And we need to treat it like a business and not like it's being treated now. It shouldn't be.
Mhm. Yeah. It's funny that I want to go back to a point that you just made. You said that, I wonder how many people are in jail for something that they didn't do or falsely accused of something. And listen, I'm pro law enforcement. It's not like I'm saying I hate every cop out there. I just
Right.
don't like bad cops. And especially what's going on in the Karen Reed case. There's a lot of bad cops that got involved, and there's a big cover up in this. But I want to go back to the point of what you said about people being, falsely put in jail. And I almost wonder this too, after the frame job of Karen Reed and then forcing all those charges on this, small, tiny little woman, and they
Right.
throw all these charges at her. I almost think they were hoping that she would just take a deal, go away
Oh,
for
they
2
did.
years. Yeah.
Oh, they
And
absolutely did.
I have to commend Karen for standing up for herself and saying, damn it, I'm not going to let them take me down. I'm going to fight this all the way. And I think that's what really draws me in to this case and to her. She's a fighter. And
She's
you're
a
a fighter,
fighter.
and you're a fighter.
Yeah. And she's a fighter, and
Yeah.
her parents, her whole family, they are they're beautiful Americans.
They are.
You know what I mean?
They're
If you're
beautiful
going to go
people.
to bat and you're going to fight for somebody, you want to fight for somebody like that,
Right.
like their family. They are just the best people.
Mhm.
And, Karen has lost 2 years of
Yeah.
her life,
Mhm.
and people go, oh, she's going to sue. Yeah, Karen, yeah, she's going to sue. But I mean, I would rather the 2 years of my life.
Yeah.
No money can give me that 2 years back.
And she lost
Nothing can.
John. She
What's
lost
that?
John. She
She
lost
lost
John too.
John.
Yeah.
She lost John.
Mhm.
She's not going to get that back.
Mhm.
Nothing is going to replace what she's lost.
Mhm.
Nothing.
I agree. So let's do this, Rita. Let's take up some questions if you
Yeah.
don't mind. I have an awesome question so far from Victoria here. She says, question, how would you improve, this is a great one to start off with. How would you improve communication between board members and the Canton residents?
So that's a good question. And what people don't see is I have a great relationship with Charlie Duty.
Mhm.
I have a very good relationship with Tom Theodore, the only one I really have no interest in having a relationship with is Chris Albert. I will work with whoever I need to work with, because at the end of the day, we are tasked with a goal of doing right by the citizens. And so I have an ability an ability to talk to people
Mhm.
and connect with people. I do it every day, and it's a gift. And so I would use my gift of communication and empathy and compassion, and use that to connect with people. And really, what you do is you just listen, and you acknowledge and align and assure. I mean, that's really what you do. You just acknowledge the situation, you align with them, and you're going to work to get that resolution done. That's what I would do. It's what I do every day.
Yeah, that's great. So Danny's asking, Rita, what is the next step in the audit? I know Bob and Randy are giving you a hard time. Is there anything that can be done legally? And what is what they're doing even legal?
That's a very good question. And I don't think it is. And so I'm challenging Bob. And so so I sent him. So last week, the Canton Citizen published that I was going to reach out to Bob McCarthy after the meeting. And
Mhm.
what people don't know is that Tom and I spoke after the meeting. Tom asked me to stay afterwards, and he asked me to, work with him. And of course, I said yes. And he was going to, I said, I can't work with Randy. I mean, we can't, Randy doesn't want, Randy's like, nope, not me, you know, because Randy's a coward.
Right.
And that's why he gave it to Bob, because Randy doesn't know how to stand up to intelligent women. He doesn't know how to deal with them. And so I said, you know, we can't get anywhere with Bob. He's a dictator. So we need you guys there. Can you, JR, and Charlie be there? Because I knew that we could collaborate, and me and Kathleen. But when the paper said that I was going to reach out to Bob, I said, you know what? That's thrown back on my lap. So I'm going to reach out to Bob. So Friday I sent an email to Bob, and he came back with a very rude and authoritarian response. And that was just unacceptable. And so then I said, Kathleen, and so what we were going to do is I sent him a message. I said, Kathleen and I have a potential solution to this. You know, we're trying to work solutions. And one thing I love about J.R. McCourt is he tries to work solutions, you know, and that's what you need to do. And so Bob came back and used verbiage that was just unacceptable. I don't know. I don't know. He thinks he's in Russia or something, but this is not a dictatorship. This is a democracy.
Right.
And you don't tell me what to do or what I can't do. And so the language in the motion says the petitioners will nominate. Well, Bob McCarthy is not a petitioner. And so what Kathleen, and when we first gave my name and Kathleen's name for the police audit, he rejected our names. And he said, you can't nominate yourself. Well, he assumed we nominated ourselves. He never asked what happened. And people wanted us, they expressed to us, they wanted us to be on the police audit. I mean, why wouldn't they? Kathleen's the lead petitioner, you know, and I'm the lead bulldog, you know, so why wouldn't they want us on this, you know?
Right.
I mean, it's, you know, which is the exact same reason that Bob and Randy don't want us on. And so I said to Kathleen, and then I had decided to run for select board, and I said, I'm out. I don't want the police audit anymore. I'm going for the select board. I'm gonna go for the. Now I'm going for the select board. I'm done.
Right.
You know, I wanted the audit, and now I'm done with that. And so I just lost my thought there.
It's okay.
I just lost my thought.
It's okay.
But, so I know what it was. So then I said, Kathleen, it says the petitioners will nominate. So we searched around and talked to people, and people came forward and said that they were interested in doing the committee. And Kathleen, as the lead petitioner, and she has the business experience, she was doing it. And then we have Dave Clow, who is on the finance team, and the finance team supported the independent audit. And so we said, this is perfect. So then we put a message out to people and said, listen, we have a new petition, and this is who we want to nominate. And if you'd like to come down and sign it, come on down and sign it. And it had to be the original 307 that they certified. And we have received so many signatures. And one day this week, we're going to deliver it to the town hall and say, here you go. And this is who the petition is nominated. And, you know, Bob has no legal standing. He is enforcing something, a vote by secretary. I mean, we asked at the special town meeting for an alternative voting method to protect the safety and the privacy of voters. And the opponents, like Bob McCarthy, rejected the alternative voting and demanded that the people had to raise their hands so they could see who was voting for the audit and who wasn't. And now, when it comes time to selecting somebody for the committee from the petitioners, he is going to come up with an alternative voting method. And we're supposed to just take that. When in fact, the moderator and the town clerk came out with a legitimate voting alternative method, and they rejected it. So he rejects something that the moderator and the town clerk put together to protect the safety of residents. And now they're saying, oh, no, you have to take this process. Oh, no, we don't. And so Bob's got a problem. Bob's got a problem. We need to get this audit on the road. We need to start this audit.
Yeah.
He will be given the name of the two petitioners, which is going to be Kathleen and Dave. So Bob, if you're listening, which I'm sure you probably are, it's going to be Kathleen and Dave, and they both support the audit. You still outweigh us because he has a voting position on the committee, and
Mhm.
he's picking 2 other people. And he didn't go through a democratic process. Within 24 hours of that letter coming out saying that he was the pick,
Mhm.
people reached out to him from the greater community to say, "Hey, I'm interested." And he said, "I've already made my selection." And so here he is, wants to hold us to this costly
Right.
mail by paper with the post office that didn't even deliver the warrants, and we're supposed to trust them now to deliver the voting cards, and so whatever. So, the petitioners are the ones who are going to decide who sits on that committee for the petitioners. We're already outnumbered. And if he wants to go to battle on that, well, let's go.
It always seems like they're tailoring the rules just to win the game. Doesn't it
It
seem that
is.
way,
It
Rita?
is.
Doesn't it seem that way?
It
Uh,
does. And that's why I want to get into office, because I
you're
am
tired of
not
it.
going
Yeah,
to
you're tired of it.
change interpretations that
Yeah.
have been long standing to win. That's called cheating.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
called cheating. And we
Mhm.
don't cheat to win.
Right. All right. So we'll take a couple more questions here. So Scott's got one. He says, "What sort of townie pushback does Rita expect to face here coming up? Has she had any? Has she awakened a giant? How hard will they fight back to keep the status quo?"
We're going to find out. Scott, I love you.
Yeah.
Scott, you
find
see me
out,
in those
Scott.
meetings.
Right.
Right. So I want to answer his questions.
Yeah.
I haven't had any pushback. And, I think I generally do have a good relationship with these people. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I do. I think that they wish I would go away, but I'm not mean. I'm not unkind. I listen and I smile. And, it's kind of hard to fight with somebody who smiles.
Yeah.
And, I don't look, do I think Tom and Mike want to win? Absolutely, they want to win. But so don't Trish and I. And Tom and Mike had the last 6 to 8 months to demonstrate why they should be reelected. And in
Mhm.
my opinion, they didn't succeed in getting the message across. And that's why I'm in the race and Trish is in the race. And, you know, um, you know, they had their chance and they blew it. And Mike, Mike just reads. I mean, he might as well be a robot. I mean, you might as well push a button like he pushes the button for the timer.
Mhm.
Policy says, I mean, come on, use your brain,
Right. Right.
and, so that's how I feel.
Yeah, that's great. So Victoria's got a question. As the overseer of the police department, how would you implement that Canton Police Department is following protocols and the chief is being transparent? And how would you hold the chief accountable?
So that is where the independent audit comes in.
Mm.
And the independent audit, so what we have right now is accreditation, I think, every 3 years. And somebody comes in, and I believe it was from a neighboring town, which a lot of objectivity there. But somebody comes in and says, okay, show me policies and procedures. Oh, you got the right policies and procedures. Okay, good. You get an A,
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
They're not really doing that. They're not really checking to see if the policy and procedures are in place.
Kathleen and I have been to the police station several times, and only once did they follow policy and procedure.
Mm.
And when we called them out on it, oh, Mickey the dunce. The officer wasn't Mickey the dunce, And so you can have all the policies and the procedures in the world, but if you're not following them, then that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in the business world. When you have policies and procedures, you have checks and balances. So if you don't follow them, you don't get past go.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need those same kind of controls in law enforcement and in government.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe we have them.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know from working with the states for 10 years, their systems are antiquated. And we can see with all the breaks that there were in the John O'Keefe murder investigation, which is why the federal government is investigating the investigation. All of those breaks in processing, in my opinion, never should have occurred. And they wouldn't have occurred if a business professional went in and took a look at the processing and the controls. I mean, it needs, I think we need transformation. You know, people call it reform. Reform is a negative word. In the
Mm,
business world, we call it transform. We
mhm.
transform business areas and make them better, you know, and that's what I think we need to do. We need to be better. We need to want to be the best we can be. And, you know, we need to put procedures in place that don't allow people to go rogue.
Mm.
You know, I mean, you know, it's kind of like, you know, the gates open and so it's easy for them to do it. And it shouldn't be easy for them to do it.
Right.
It's not in business. It shouldn't be in municipal either.
Yeah. In my opinion, if you want to watch some of the most gross misconduct in investigation, read about the Karen Reed case. I mean, there's so much policy that was broken in that case. I
Oh,
mean, I could list off 100 of them of policies that were broken that night. And you know, to carry on the way they are and dragging Karen through the mud as they have the last 2 years is unbelievable. So we have a quick question here. Rita, will you get rid of the clock for public comments at the meetings?
so I'm sure it's not my call. I'm sure
Yeah.
people have to vote on it, and maybe they'll have to ask the attorney because, you know, they got the whatever. I would like to take that clock and toss it out the window.
Or at least extend the time. I've watched other committee meetings where they have a little bit longer time. I mean, listen, you can't get rid of the clock completely, I guess, because you have to have some decorum in time, right, Rita? I mean, we can't
Well,
have
they never
people
had
that-
it before.
Yeah.
They never had it
Oh,
before.
they never had it before.
No,
This is a new
they
thing.
got that after everybody went in with the signs. That's new.
Okay.
They
So
didn't have
I'm
that.
sorry. I apologize. This is new to me.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
No, they
Okay.
did that so that they
On
made sure that they
purpose.
didn't have to listen more than 1 second after 3 minutes.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then it turns red on the last minute,
Right.
like to give you angst.
Yeah, you're out. You're gonna be
You're out.
in a minute.
Okay, you're red. You're in the red. Hurry up. So we speed
Ah.
read, you know.
Alright.
It's the most unfriendly,
Right.
un-American thing.
Right. It's just
that there
telling
is.
you we don't want to listen to you, essentially what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I should just bring in headsets.
Right.
Here, let me give you headsets because we're just talking to the microphone anyways. We're just talking to the camera. So you're not listening, but everybody else is listening. So I guess that's where we're going to get results anyways.
All right, I got
get results.
a fun one here. Maybe we can have a little bit of a laugh. But El Detective Dewan asked, "Would you support a monthly community bingo night?"
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I really want to do. I want to bring the community back together.
Yeah.
And I want to do fun things. And one thing I remember, you know, I remember Angela, because I never watched these meetings before, like everybody else.
Right.
I was like, government works, leave it alone, you know. And I remember hearing Kathleen speak about a dog park and how important that dog park was to bring community together. And that was last spring. We still don't have the dog park.
Yeah.
You know, who knows why, but we still don't have the dog park. But, you know, I'd like to do things that will bring the community back together. We have Top Golf that just opened up down the
Yeah.
street.
I've
I'd
been
like
there.
to have
It's
a
awesome.
Canton day at Top Golf.
Yeah, it's
You
awesome.
know? And, you know, so, you know, when I become select board member, I will reach out to Top Golf and see what we can do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really, this town, what people don't realize is this town has been traumatized.
Yeah.
So much trauma, you know, people, it's hard to comprehend the impact this has had on families. It's hard to comprehend. And, you know, there was someone today that I know that had a sign out for me. And, you know, one of their family members supports the other side.
Mhm.
And that caused a conflict.
Wow.
And so, and I said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Take the
Excuse me.
sign down. Don't worry about it. Take it down. You know, people don't realize the trauma that's been inflicted.
Oh, it's very divided there. I don't think people understand. If you're not in from around that community, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Rita.
Yeah, no.
If you're not out there in that community and in and around Canton, it is very, very divided. You don't understand the division that's gone on there right now. I mean, this whole thing over the last 2 years divided so many people, and you can see it. You can almost feel it when you drive through there. I mean, I don't live in Canton, but I live pretty close, and I do pass by Canton. I pass through a lot, and you can almost like feel it that it's so divided there. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just it's really trauma. There's
Yeah.
a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
You know, people are impacted, and you know, we really need somebody to help us. Um, you know, people are impacted in ways that they'll never speak about, and myself included. You know, there are things that because of family members, because of loved ones, there are things that some people will never reveal.
Mm,
And so, you know, what people see, they see, but there's a lot of pain and suffering that people don't see.
mm.
And it's really sad that this has done this. And, you know, we need to come back together, and the truth will set you free,
Yeah.
and the truth will set us free.
Yeah. Let's do this. Let's do two more questions for Rita, and then I'll give her a closing comment out. I do want to just direct everybody to the top of the chat. There's a link up there. If you want to support Rita's campaign, please click on that link and you can donate directly there. She's got about another 4 weeks here on her campaign, and we definitely want to get the word out and help her as much as we can to change Canton. That's it. Just to change it, to bring transparency, to bring truth, and bring and cut all this red tape that's been going on for a very long time. And I think you have a candidate here that can get beyond that red tape and wants to work with the present people that are on that board, but do it in the right way. So real quick, Patrick here is asking, is it going to be hard to agree with the rest of the board members because of their past reputation?
No, I have to put, you know, look, whatever they've done in the past, they've done in the past. This is
Yeah.
about now. This is about going forward. And the only board member that I have no respect for is Chris Albert.
Hmm.
And I have no respect for him because he doesn't pay his bills,
Yeah.
you know, and the way he's treated people, you know, the way he runs his business. I mean, people come out of his shop and give the middle finger to
Yeah.
people. He does not represent Canton. And, you know, I will work with him, but let's just face it, Chris Albert doesn't do anything except sit at that table and drink his coffee.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be hard to work with Chris Albert because he's just going to sit there and be Chris Albert. So that's not, which is what I think he does today anyways. I don't think he has anything of significance.
It's not very engaging when I watch. I mean, he's not very engaging when I watch.
And then when Randy spoke and I said something and he thought it was a criticism of Randy, he chimes in and says, "Oh, Randy, I know you do a good job. You cut corners and everything." Oh, that's a great thing to say. The finance director cuts corners. Give us another lawsuit, Chris. You know,
Unreal.
So, he doesn't contribute anything anyways. You know, so I have no problem working. Even John Conley, I don't have a problem working with John Conley. You know, there's a job to be done and it needs to get done, and it needs to get done the way the people expect. And we need to make decisions based on the good of the community.
I agree. So let me ask you this real quick, and then if anybody has, we'll take one more question here, and then I'm going to let Rita have the floor really quick to kind of rally off to end the stream. But select board, do you challenge someone's seat, or how does that work?
So what happens is, like, every year somebody's seat is up.
Sure.
So it's not like you get all these people leaving at the same time.
Okay.
So this year, Tom Theodore and Mike Lofgren's seats are up. They're up. So they need to either run for re-election or step aside.
Mhm.
They've chosen to run for re-election. John Conley's seat is up next year. And then the following year, it's Chris Albert, if he makes it, and J.R. McCourt. So that's the staggered way that it works. And I'm sure it works that way in other people's towns, which makes sense. So everybody's not leaving at the same time.
Mhm.
So
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's what it is.
So when you get voted in, how long is your term?
3 years.
Okay. Oh, wow.
3
Okay.
years.
Yeah. So,
And, like I say, this isn't something I said, "Oh, let me go run for select board." I'm 63. I'm in my semi-retirement years, I tell everybody. And here I am taking on this big challenge. And, that's just who I am. I've never walked away from a challenge. And this challenge has my name all over it.
yeah, I think you get a hell of a chance. You need change. I say we because I feel like I'm part of the community over there. I
You
am. I
are.
know a lot of
You
people.
are.
I'm in this, but I don't live in Canton, but I support the Canton residents that want real change there. And, I urge everybody, please, if you're in Massachusetts, or if you are in the Canton, Massachusetts area and you're watching this stream tonight, I just want to direct you to Rita Lombardi. She wants real change on the Canton Select Board, and that affects you as the people that live in that community. So this is very important. If you are sick of the same old, look at Rita's campaign, vote for Rita, and get that real change that needs to be done. And I urge you, watch the select board meetings, because you will see Rita's leadership during those select board meetings. And if you haven't watched any of them, you can go back. They're all archived on the Canton community page. You can go back and watch those and check that out. So let me do this. I'm going to give Rita, hang on one second. We actually have one more question. We'll do this, and then I'll give you the floor to kind of wrap it up. So Amy in Boston's asking, Rita, what are the main changes you want you want immediately in office? What is the top priority? Kind of went over this a little earlier, but I'll let you answer once again if she missed it.
We need to listen to the people. We need to listen to the people. We need to give the people truth. And we need to heal. We need to find a way to come back together. We need to come back together. People want to come back together. And, the other side doesn't realize that, they think that the people that are not speaking out support them. Like a news, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. The more and more people are telling us they've had enough. More and more people are telling us they don't buy the gaslighting, nor should they. And so, the people will be speaking and voting, and people are going to see what the people want. And the people want truth, and that's what they're going to get with me. The people want responsible financial oversight. That's what you're going to get from me. People want their vote, their wishes honored, and not some twisted interpretation to rip it away from them, what they voted for. No, you're not going to rip it away from us. This is what we voted for, and this is what we're going to get.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Any parting words, Rita, before we leave?
Just everybody, please. I appreciate everything that everyone is doing to help. I love it. Join us for holding signs. Help, to help me get elected so that I can do great things for this town. And also start paying attention in your own towns. This is so important. The days of letting it run, or taking a pass on voting, or voting for someone that you really don't know what they stand for, those days are over. We are we're jeopardizing our freedom by being passive. We cannot be passive. And I've always voted, in the local elections. Sometimes I might have missed it, not anymore. So I ask people, please, this is a wake-up call for all of us. And what you see in Canton, if you have a well-run town, all power to you. I'm very, very happy. But if you have a town that has issues like this town, the only way you're going to find out is to go to the select board meetings, ask questions like we do. Because when you ask questions, that's when you get more information. Just like the $7,000 survey. I had no idea what that was going to uncover. And you don't know until you ask questions. And they know we're asking questions. So that's how you're going to get to the truth. Stand up, use your voice, get informed, and vote.
Yeah, I agree. I preach it all the time on my channel. Vote in your local elections. Look at the people that are running it. And I think you need more strong leaders like Rita in your community to come out and stand out and get real change. If you're sick of the same old, like I said, look at the people that are currently running your community. Check them out. Do some background searches. Everybody has fingertips in Google now. Look at your candidates. Look who's running. See who they're connected to. And don't go off the walk through my community and go, hey, what do you think? Do your real research, because a lot of these people that have sat on seats for a long time are connected.
Right.
are affected. So-
And I'll just say this,
Sure.
I wasn't looking to run for office. I wasn't looking to be in government. It was a calling. I had to. It was
Yeah.
my duty. I never served in the armed forces. I don't know what that experience is like. My fiance has. He was in the Army for 13 years. I've never served in the armed forces. And so I've always worked in the private sector. Now, this was my duty. I had to run for office. And I urge anyone who's got the expertise to make a difference in their town and in their community to get involved. And what you will get in return is so much more than you put in, because you will reap the rewards of doing a service to your community. I promise you. I see it every day. And we all see it every day. Everyone in this movement, the love, the compassion, the camaraderie.
Commitments.
It's right. And,
Yeah.
and it's contagious. So spread it all around.
Yeah.
And if you have the expertise, consider stepping up to the plate, because we need you. This is our country. We need you.
I agree. Well, that's Rita Lombardi.
Yes.
She's running from Canton Select Board. Like I said, if you want to help out her campaign, her link is at the top of the chat there. You can donate there to help her out. And we'll be sure to have Rita back on here in a couple of weeks, see how things are going, or after the election. And
I'm coming back before.
You come back before? All right. So Rita, like I said, reach out to me. We'll get you back on. We'll get you some more exposure out there. And if anybody, again, do you have a central email address that people can reach out to you if they want to help in your campaign?
Yes. If they want to volunteer, it's volunteer@randomcitizen.org. It's no S, just volunteer@randomcitizen.org, and let us know what your availability is. And then if you want to reach me, you can reach me. People know how to reach me on Messenger, which I get inundated. But also you can reach me at rita@randomcitizen.org. I'm very proud of that email.
Awesome. Well, I think you're going to win. I think you're going to make some real change in Canton. And like I said, make sure you watch the Canton Select Board meetings if you want to see what a real candidate can do to come in, challenge that seat, and win and make real change in Canton. Rita, I want to thank you so much for being here. We'll have you back on. The platform is always open to you. Anytime you need to come on live, you reach out, let me know, and we'll do a show for you.
Thank you so much, Brian. And thank you to everybody for watching. I really appreciate it. And spread the word.
Yes.
Vote in Canton, April 2nd.
All right. All right. Thank you again, Rita.
Thanks so
Again,
much. All right.
I'm going to let everybody know. Turtle Boy at 9. Go check out the channel.
Yes.
We'll see you guys soon. All right, everybody.
Thank you.
True crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden and mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. Escape true crime, unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned. We dive into the crime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL true crime, unveiling dark realities of the underground. Unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned. We dive into the front. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL true crime, unveiling dark realities.